It's been 3 years since after listener took over JC Jensen, and now he actually made it more appealing. Afterwards, when they saw the new boss, who was none other than a drone, aka listener, some of the humans weren't too happy about this. They all end up objecting by this sort of new policy and the law, which they end up calling a disgrace and stupidity, and no matter what, you're always going to be a drone sort of thing. So, by those who end up daring to go behind his back and try to rebel, punishment has acquired. Some of them end up making out alive, while others, well, there was a graveyard. Instead of them being on the ground, they were crucified. Some of them had their stomach open, and others, well, most of them end up having missing parts. Some of them is just hanging by bits and pieces, and others, it's more gruesome than you think. Afterwards, everyone shut up after what happened and the new consequences of what happens if anyone goes behind the law and trying anything smooth with listener. He won't hesitate to kill them. And speaking of listener, he was with his beautiful wife Tessa, as she ended up hugging him while she was sitting on his lap. And with them, inside the meeting room filled with the most powerful people who love the new law. I see that you're enjoying this, Mr. President, he said as he put out a cigarette. Wow, B, never thought in a million years would I ever agree to have such an amazing law. And with you running everything here, I wouldn't end up being more surprised of how things would have smoothly done if you haven't taken over a while back. Thank you, Mr. President. That's right, Mr. President was in it actually because, well, he had a thing for his beautiful new wife, and who's none other than the Lady Joan of the house too, the Mrs., aka Mrs. President. Couldn't agree more. Anywho, so I see that you also took down a couple of rebellions that were trying to take me down, he said as he looked at the president. Indeed, I found a couple of them trying to end up stealing some drones, trying to find a way to end you. They even had the audacity to take my wife here, the president said as he held his wife, who was about 6 months pregnant now. Indeed, that was stupid. I couldn't agree more, the general in the military said as he held his wife too. So, what do you plan on doing, Mr. Listener? The president said. Listener looked at Tessa, who smiled, but in a sinister one. I think it's time that we make our warning worldwide, honey, she said as she looked at her husband. He smiled as it grew slightly in a terrifying way. I think that's a swell idea. And just like that, at the entrance, on stage, listener with the other powerful people with their drone wives, and with Tessa by him with a 50 calibrated revolver in hand, she, along with listener, smiled as the camera was rolling. People of Earth, I come to you with the greatest warning that you need to understand and will always remember this, he said. Worldwide, TV is everywhere, radios too, and I'm hearing and seeing none other than the news of what listener had to offer. I actually heard from my friend who said that he found 15 rebellion teams that were trying to take me down. And also, what's more, had the audacity and the balls to even try using my wife. He pointed gently towards Tessa, who he held dearly with love and care, as a bargaining chip and as something that I did not want her to be. So, today forward, I'm gonna show you what happens when you mess with the wrong people and the wrong person too. And just like that, one guard drone ended up bringing upon chained link 17 people as they stood on stage with bags over their heads. Today forward, you're gonna end up witnessing what happens when you dare cross me. And just like that, Tessa, who looked at her husband, listener nodded. Pulling out her 50 caliber revolver, she fired at one in the middle, making every one of the others scream. All around TVs and radios, everyone flinched when they saw what happened. And then listener continued, and that's just only one of them who dared to even think about doing something towards Tessa. But no one's more disgusting and more pervious than him. He pointed towards the one in the middle. None other than Jonathan Cayman. Mr. Cayman here is none other than the leader of the resistance of my own kind's doomsday slaying time. But I think I have a much more beautiful kind of execution. Tessa? Yes, dear? You may kill the others. Every one of them pleaded for their lives, but Tessa ended up shooting them one by one, leaving only Jonathan standing as he felt the weight of the chain of his pals' own corpses holding him down. But he stand tall, just trying to be brave, and underneath the bag, he felt like he was gonna die. And he is, but not in the quick one laying those guys. Jonathan, your death will be a more beautiful sight to see, he said, as when suddenly Jonathan felt himself being raised in the sky. He ended up choking, but he couldn't do anything because his arms and legs were chained. As Jonathan felt like he was dying, something was keeping him from closing his eyes and sleeping forever. On this day forward, listener said, as he ended up holding Jonathan with his silver, as everyone watched, you're gonna see what happens when you mess with me. And just like that, everyone saw how listener ended up taking each part of Jonathan and ended up tearing the man apart into pieces, as Jonathan ended up screaming one last time before his head that was still attached to his spine was left, and all the other parts of him fell to the ground with a loud thud. All the humans that watched, all the other people who dared to even think about rebellion of him, saw how listener would never take something like their stupidity of rebellion at hand behind. I'm gonna end up making sure that everyone would know to never mess with me or the other powerful people's own life. And that will be all. This is Listener, aka the executioner of JC Jensen, and this message better end up reaching every one of you guys' resistance, and to dare to even think about hiding them, you will also find this fate upon you without you knowing. After that news, every single rebellion team and every single people that tried to rebel all end up being arrested, and some of them end up trying to protest, but others had to give them their own death quick and fast, so they don't ever have to face the consequences like what they saw with Jonathan himself. Meanwhile, listener smiled as he beautifully watched the ones that tried to rebel work day in and day out with little rest, as they saw what they treated his kind like slaves. And if that's how they're gonna listen, then so be it. Oh, sweetheart, that what you did yesterday, that was so handsomely beautiful, and dare I say, kind of turned me on. Tessa said, utterly lustfully, closely to his own ears. There is no day and night would I ever enjoy having you as my wife, Tessa, my beautiful queen of destruction. And there is no other Jones I'd rather have as a husband than you, my handsome hunk of metal, she said as she and the caressing listener's face, as Lister, well, held her close to him, so beautifully and gently, too.